who's Wandile Qindi? I grew up between Soweto and the southern suburbs of Johannesburg, where I actually went to school. I'm a qualified marketer. I'm also a social entrepreneur. And what I've done is I've actually fused, I think, my life's journey into what I'm doing now in terms of the school yearbook project, to actually come up with that, because having grown up, and especially growing up in the southern suburbs, and commuting between that and Soweto, what I found was there really was a disconnect in terms of what I knew and what my peers knew who actually studied in some of the schools within Soweto. And having grown up and I think studying marketing, my whole thing was how do we find gaps in the market as marketers? And when I started working for a short-term insurance company, I was introduced to corporate social investment, which is where I think my passion actually came to life, more than anything. And I discovered this thing called corporate social investment and this thing called BE and transformation and what that was. And it really stood out for me. And as
Hello, my name is Princess. I'm 14 years old. In 2030, I will be 28 years old. I want to be a gynecologist and an obstetrician, and I'm part of the Telescope campaign. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Paris Meza. I'm 15 years old. In 2030, I'll be 29 years old. And I would like to see myself as an architect, and I'm part of the Telescope campaign.
My name is Agrimela Twinty and I am 15 years old. And in 2030, I will be turning 29 years old. And when I grow up, I want to be a graphic designer.
And my name is Pintan Chagazi. I am 15 years old. In 2030, I'll be an IT engineer. And we are proud to be part of the
Telescope campaign.
Hi everyone, this is Melissa Matebila. I'm in grade 9 and I'm 15 years old. In 2030, I will be turning 29 and I see myself as a chartered accountant. And I'm proud to be part of the Telescope campaign. Thank you.
secondly, to the parents as well, I think there's an opportunity to start educating our parents about the different fields that are out there. I think there's a stereotype that maths and science is it, and that is the alpha and the omega. And in all honesty, it's not. You know, we find ourselves living in times where technology is growing at a rapid pace, and yet we're still stuck in this mindset of we need to study maths, we need to study science, we need to be doctors, we need to be lawyers, we need to be accountants. But you can be an astronaut if you want to. You can be somebody who looks for waste and create things from waste that can have a commercial value to it. So that's what we're doing with the yearbook, is we're capturing all of this, and we're gradually going to start educating I think our parents in terms of what's happening within the schools, but also to the kids as well, to show them that there's more to life than just maths and science, and how we can start using extracurricular activity to actually start driving certain behaviors, and for us to ultimately start driving different career options that are ultimately available to these young people. So the yearbook is really to remove stereotypes, and then to also start talking to corporate South Africa about them adopting a school and getting them to actually start investing in some of the pupils within that school. I think there's a great advantage, or there's a great opportunity that we have to partner with corporate South Africa in terms of financial and non-financial investments. And when I say non-financial, primarily in terms of their time and their skills and their resources, and bringing that to the fore in terms of helping some of these kids. Then I think the third bit is around building entrepreneurship, because there's 6,000 high schools in the country, and if one of those high schools was actually being project managed by a startup entrepreneur, you know, from January up until December, that means that we are ultimately creating potentially 6,000 new entrepreneurs every year
Hi, my name is William Panazi. I'm standing here before you as a 17-year-old who dreams more than just what I am today. In 2030, I see myself as more than just a person or a 17-year-old. I see myself as a 31-year-old who owns different businesses in different branches and is able to have a positive impact on young people and also a stable career. I'd like to say that I am proud to be in the Telescope campaign. Thank you.
Once we start getting into the project in itself, unpacking what other opportunities lie within the school environment. I mean, when I was doing some of the numbers, there's some 3.8 or close to 3.9 million high school learners. That's enough for us to start things like research centers. Because of the number of kids that we've got. Then once we start doing that, then how do we start creating creative agencies that can start talking to these kids and creating products and services and marketing campaigns, for brands that talk to these kids. So really, the opportunities are endless. And I think what I'm doing this year, which is the pilot project, it's just a dipstick, and for us to say what is available, what is it that we can ultimately get out of this whole project in itself, and really start to push the boundaries a little bit, but also use the kids as well. Let the youth lead the youth. Let the kids come up with some of the solutions to some of their societal problems. And I think that's what the yearbook is going to capture. What impact are we trying to see with this project? I think there's a couple of things that we want to see. I think number one, we want to unearth talent within these high schools that lie in different parts of South Africa, whether suburban, whether urban, whether rural, whether township. We need to start finding some of this talent. And once we found the talent, whether sports, arts, academics, whatever it is, how do we start channeling that talent? When I mean channeling it, how do we? I think there's an opportunity for young people to start earning during their teenage phase or during their teenage life cycle, as opposed to them start earning money when they about 25 after they've graduated. I think there's really an opportunity for us to actually tap into that particular market. So the impact more than anything is for us to start directing these young people to their passion and to their talents. And I think what that in turn does, I think it creates a sense of we can achieve, and it creates a sense of anything is possible. And I think it eliminates the whole stereotype of saying let's do maths or let's just do science so that we can be doctors and lawyers. But it starts to, and I think it's thought provoking to the kids as well, because we able to throw situations to these kids, that can ultimately get them to start problem solving. I mean, when we hosted the 2-day event, and I mean, we had a pop-up recording studio, which is one of the things that we did. I mean, you could see the kids were in their zone, you could see the kids were in their element, and that's what we need, but we need to do it consistently. We need to do it in such a way that the kids actually start seeing themselves as being that person, whether it's music, whether it's sports, whether it's arts, whether it's culture, whatever it is. I think the yearbook gives them that opportunity to be ultimately who they want to be. And I think that in itself is just it's a powerful tool that we can ultimately use to grow and develop our youth. And the other thing as well is you find kids in private schools, they have to do X amount of hours in terms of community service. And I mean, I've been part of helping some of these kids spend their time. And I think there's an opportunity to get kids from some of these private schools to actually partner up or collaborate with some of these kids from township and rural South Africa, put a problem in front of them, and get these two worlds to come together and start to problem solve. I think that in itself could yield some fantastic results, but we haven't done it. And I think there's an opportunity for us to push the boundaries in terms of that. And I think more than anything, it starts to blur the barriers in terms of race, in terms of black, in terms of white, you know, and it's different worlds coming together and say, we all live in South Africa. What can we do as South Africans to change the lives of our neighbors, to change the lives of those less fortunate than we are? And I think it really more than anything, I think it holds a lot of things together. It holds things like the National Development Plan together that says, what does Vision 2030 look like? How are we going to eliminate poverty and reduce inequality? And I think that comes together through collaboration and building a cohesive country, you know, that ultimately talks to one another and talks to living in a better South Africa for all, you know, whether black, whether white, whether colored, whether Indian, whatever it is. I think it talks to that. And I think we also realize that a lot of kids in South African townships and rural areas, they don't have much hope. You know, how do we bring that hope back to these kids? How do we make them want to believe again, make them want to dream, but also start living their dreams? And I think hence the word of and us calling it the telescope campaign, because the whole idea around a telescope is that it brings objects closer. So how do we start to bring these kids' dreams a little bit closer to them and a little bit closer, and make it make it reality more than anything? And I think that's what we're trying to achieve. That's the impact that we want to get. And obviously then we start speaking to different parts of the economy, you know, because we're able to start directing these kids into different career options. You know, let's let these kids become the engineers, let's let these kids become the scientists, and, you know, guys who are interested in technology and bringing about technology that can ultimately make a positive impact in the world. And that's the impact that we're trying to achieve.